Most Australian farmers would have strong views on this week's live cattle developments. But for one family enterprise in Central Australia, it's personal. Suplejack Downs is remote, even by Northern Territory standards. In an era of consolidation and corporatisation, the Cooks have kept it in the family for 3 generations. As Prue Adams reports, beef is their mainstay, and in recent years, live exports have helped them through some very tough times.
When the bitumen ends, the red dirt tracks stretch as far as the eye can see. And cattle, unfettered by fence lines, rule the road. It's here, near the western border of the Northern Territory, that you'll find Suplejack Downs Station. This is the most isolated cattle station in Australia, possibly even the world. Alice Springs is the closest big town, and that's 730 kilometres away. Katherine is the same distance in the opposite direction, and Darwin, from where we've driven, is 1,000 kilometres to the north. Suplejack Downs Station is indeed a long way from anywhere.
Personally, I've never felt isolated at Suplejack. We've always had people around and so much to do too. You're never idle. So, yeah, isolation's a weird sort of a word, really.
This is the most resourceful and resilient bush dynasty you're ever likely to come across. 3 generations of the Cook family run cattle across 3,000 magnificent square kilometres. The gyrocopter is used to tease animals out from the bush. On the ground, other forms of horsepower are employed. Even toddlers get in on the act. As with all things here, mustering is a family affair. It's been that way for half a century.
Mum and Dad basically pioneered as a pastoral property, Suplejack, so we all trudged out on the back of the old green Bedford in 1964 and set up tent, and I was 7 years old. And so really I don't have many memories before Suplejack's.
Letty Cook's father, Bob Savage, named the place after the Suplejack tree, which was abundant.
That piece of country really stood out as far as cattle country was concerned.
After first getting a grazing licence, Bob and Lil Savage took out a 99-year lease. Their first homestead was this tin shed. Here they raised 7 children, they grew what they ate, and they cooked it outside.
It was a bit hard first to go into there from a house and everything, but you get used to it and
well, it was the most isolated,
with it.
most isolated country, I think, anywhere. There was no mines, and there might be one car go up through the road a year. Yeah. I have seen it 12 months to one car go through there.
Mum and Dad were just inspirational, and I think we looked up to them all the time because we thought they could never do anything wrong. You know, you lived way out here, you had no neighbours, no mail plane, no refrigeration, no power, but everything just went on as normal. We didn't ever think we went without anything. We had a terrific childhood, really, yeah.
Letty made a break for it as a young woman, but returned with her husband, Bill Cook, in 1997, bringing with them their own 7 kids, 4 daughters and 3 sons. After their school years, the Cook kids all spread their wings and worked elsewhere. But the 3 boys have returned with their own partners and young children to help wrangle the Suplejack herd.
This has always been home, regardless of where we've been in Australia. So nothing's really changed. We've just grown up and taken a little bit more responsibility upon ourselves and tried to help out the old fella as much as we could.
I love it. Like, yeah, I wouldn't want to be anywhere else in the world. Very simple life out here, eh? You get up, you go to work, you have a feed, you go to bed. Like, no humbug, no worries, nothing, eh? Like, I wouldn't be anywhere else.
I mean, it was as good a place as you could pick to live. Dad's he's never made us feel like we need to be here, or that we should be here, or we owe it to him to be here. If we've ever wanted to go off and do things, we just went off and done them, you know. But I think that's been the attraction to come home.
Rob Cook went better than that with 83 points on Red Alert.
Rob Cook is the oldest of the three brothers. A one-time professional bull rider, he married Sarah, his high school sweetheart, and they had two little boys, Braxton and Lawson. But in September 2008, something happened which would dramatically change the life they knew.
I mean, it just started off like any usual muster, you know. The choppers got going early in the morning on daylight, and
The helicopter he was a passenger in dropped 200 feet out of the sky and crashed into trees on the edge of a clearing. Rob Cook had jammed his head against the inside of the chopper.
other than having a broken neck, I really wasn't injured. There was, you know, I wasn't bleeding, I wasn't in a state of bother by no means. I just couldn't feel or move any part of my body.
But yeah, I knew, no feeling. It probably wasn't real good straight up.
Sarah's a trained nurse. She was right. Her husband had broken his neck near the top of his spine and spent the next 8 months rehabilitating in Adelaide, 2,000 kilometres away from home. Amazingly, almost every member of his large, close-knit, extended family followed him there.
Bill and I and Sarah and the boys, obviously, and Brad and Cam and their families, we moved to Adelaide, and we were down there for 8 months. Boys ended up getting jobs down there, but we sort of took over the waiting room, and we lived there from early hours in the morning till late at night, and we basically slept and ate in the waiting room.
Oh, it was a horrible time, as you can imagine, but having every single member of the family there at one time or another, it made it worthwhile. There was always about 10 of us in the waiting room, so it wasn't many seats left over for anyone else, unfortunately.
The first instructions was to find a house within a 5k radius of the nearest big hospital and live there, you know, and that was never on the cards for us. Feet forward.
Rob and Sarah Cook have returned to Suplejack to bring up their boys the same way both of them were brought up.
Good. Keep coming right around me. Follow the yard round, Bracky. Good boy.
This champion